It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer, and when I found out about this big tall can of Stone Brewing Company's classic IPA that launched into ASDA, I was straight down to ASDA. Back last weekend, boom, straight over to ASDA, Cardiff Bay, big ASDA store. That's where you'll find this. You probably won't find it in the smaller ASDA stores. I found my local Barry store where I live. It's kind of, their beer aisle is not rotating as quickly as a big store. Get yourself to a big ASDA superstore and you'll find it. But yeah, I'm dead excited for this beer. Dead excited because, well, look, it's different, isn't it? This beer, Stone IPA, it's a bit special, isn't it? It's a bit special. 19.2 fluid ounce can, 6.9% ABV, and it's called the iconic West Coast style IPA. Now then, when I first started this channel in 2010, I started off by buying beers from Home Bargains and the pound bottles from ASDA. And then somebody sent me this beer package. It was my brewery tap. And they opened my eyes to fantastic craft beer from Sierra Nevada and Dogfish Head and Stone Brewing Company. Started to be sent some Stone Brewing Company beers by people who were watching my channel in America. They were sending me Sublimely Self-Righteous, and I was like, whoa, what's this black IPA? This is staggering. All new stuff back then, 2010 onwards. So if we now fast forward to 2024, where you can just literally, you're not having to rely on people in America to send you packages of beer halfway across the Atlantic Ocean. You know, you can pop down your local ASDA now and pick up a Stone IPA. The people who kind of like started their beer journeys around the same time as maybe I did will probably think the same thing, that to be able to pop to an ASDA to pick up a big can of Stone IPA, wow, it's pretty fantastic, isn't it? So let's see if this beer is still as fantastic as it once was. I know they've sold out. I know the brewery is not an independent brewery anymore. I think they're owned by that Japanese can company, not can, beer company, the lager company. Is it Sapporo? With the funny big silver can of Japanese lager that you can buy. I think they sold out to Sapporo in Japan. Look at this glass I'm using. Oh, look at this. So there is a story to tell about Stone and their beers. They did launch into Tesco's probably about 6 years ago now. It didn't work out. I'll talk to you about that in a moment, but I want to concentrate on the beer first and foremost. We've got a 3-finger, slightly off-white head, good levels of carbonation on the glass, and it's a beautiful golden amber coloured beer. Let's get the aroma on this beer then. It's quite bright, quite clear, no sediment, but this is what American IPA is or was back in the day. This is what a West Coast style IPA should look like from America. Aroma. Yeah. What am I thinking? This is not a New England IPA. This is something where the hops are locked into the glass, locked into the liquid. A little bit of sweetness, a little bit of like candied fruit, Belgian candied fruit in a sense. A little bit of kind of grapefruit and orange peel, pine needle. Can't wait anymore. Let's get in. Cheers, everybody. Where's that bitterness? Where's that bitterness? There it is. Yeah, it's there. Oh, it's kind of like, oh, oh, I want to like it a little bit more. I want to remember this a little bit more as I used to remember it. What you have to remember is that the company now is not independent anymore. It's not, what's his name? Is it Greg Koch, whatever his name is? It's not him steering the bus anymore. It's Sapporo. So it starts off, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not the beer it was. It really isn't the beer it was. If this was well, mind you, no, there is some bitterness coming through. Maybe it just took a taste or two. There is a nice bitterness on the back of the palate. I just remember just jumping up and down with this beer though. I just remember when I first tried this beer, the double IPA or the Ruination, the Stone Ruination. I just remember jumping up and down. It was like, this stuff is incredible. It's almost like the lion has been tamed a little bit with this beer. If you've been drinking craft beer for a number of years, you will know all about Stone Brewing Company and their classic IPAs, and they were such a forward-thinking brewery back in probably 2010 to 2016. Their beers used to be imported in on keg. You used to be able to buy their beers in Brewdog. Their beers on keg in Brewdog were absolutely incredible. The cans were incredible. I used to buy their cans in Brewdog. It is different. It is, or maybe beer's evolved. Maybe we're just living in a world now where beer's different, where this was like the early kind of trend-setting difference of a beer that we all knew and love. And maybe because of like New England IPA and all the different wacky sour beers and Belgian, everything else is out there now. Maybe it's just a case that maybe the beer hasn't changed that much. Maybe it's just the fact that my tastes have changed. My expectations have changed towards this beer. It was a smash up. I do, on a personal level, I do think it has changed. Throwing it on the floor doesn't help, does it? It's a nice beer. I'd buy it again. I'd buy that. I'd buy 2 cans of that down in ASDA. A couple of Franciscanas, a couple of Stone IPAs, Saturday night, watch a movie. Yeah, why not? It's cheap enough. I think I paid about £3 a can for that. Tangerine, grapefruit, bit of malt, bit of sweetness to begin with. The more I'm drinking it, the more the bitterness is building up on the palate. And burping hops. I don't know, maybe I've been a bit too harsh. Maybe Sapporo have worked really hard on this beer and they've like got it back to where it probably should be. And maybe it's just me, maybe that I was just expecting a little bit too much from this beer. There's a lovely bitterness on the back end. Yeah, credit where this credit where credit is due with this beer. I definitely buy it again. It's pretty decent. It is pretty decent. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll rate the beer and then I'll tell you my story regarding like what happened to Stone, because they did launch into Tesco about six years ago. If you want to hang around for that story, hang around for that story. But I'm going to rate the beer. As you can probably tell, I've been toing and I've been throwing with this beer. I've come to a conclusion. My conclusion is you can buy a big stovepipe can, 19.2 fluid ounce can of Stone IPA in ASDA for £3, sent from all the way across from America there. That's not a bad thing, is it? It's not a bad thing. I'm sure Sapporo's distribution helped there a lot. Hey ho, that's the way of the world. I like it enough to give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. I think that's a fair rating for this beer. 8 out of 10, £3 a can. So the story with Stone Brewing Company, they bought a brewery. Oh, no, they didn't. They built a brewery in Germany when they were independent. The story goes that it was a marketing disaster. Greg Koch, in his wisdom, went outside with all the German, when they were opening the brewery, when they were cutting the ribbon, went outside with a forklift truck full of German beer, and he tipped it all on the floor and he smashed it all, literally smashed a load of German beer on the floor. And he was almost like, we have arrived, Stone Brewing Company have arrived. And apparently all of the journalists didn't really appreciate that very much, because Germany, as we all know, sells some of the best beers in the world. So a lot of the journalists turned around, walked away, and didn't write very nice things about Stone Berlin. So it didn't get off to a very good start, and kind of like it was almost like that killed it. They spent all that money. It was almost as if that was the end. That was the beginnings of Sapporo buying Stone Brewing Company and it not being an independent company anymore, because they literally tipped a forklift truck full of German beer, smashed it all over the floor, and didn't really respect the German beer market, the German beer culture. You know, I wouldn't like that too much if a company opened up here and, you know, chucked a load of cheese toasties all over the floor, cheese on toast, Welsh rarebit, and said, you know, your Welsh rarebit is rubbish. Eat this, whatever it is, instead. I wouldn't like that too much, and probably nor would you if somebody threw some Scottish haggis on the floor if you were in Scotland, or you know, it's culturally, you just don't do that sort of thing, do you? But he did it. It was what he thought was the best thing to do at the time. But ultimately, it was the death knell. It was the death knell of Stone Berlin, because from Berlin, and this is my point, they could export beer from Berlin straight over to Tesco's in the UK. They had a European market all of a sudden, and they were selling in Europe, but it just didn't work. It was a great idea, fair play, sell in Europe, but the way they handled it didn't work out. So that's the story of Stone Berlin, and they had to sell it. They sold it to Brewdog. So Brewdog bought that brewery. I don't know if Brewdog still own that particular brewery. I've got no idea, to be honest. Yeah, that was the story of Stone Berlin and why they don't sell beer in Tesco anymore. Hope you liked the video. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.